It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
All right, Brian, this next question, this is from Michael. Oh, this is beautiful. Sometimes it's like I do this on purpose, but I don't.
You're a trained professional.
Maybe that's what. Sometimes it's just like I'm a professional. All right, this was from Michael.
Maybe you're just lucky.
Or maybe I'm just lucky. It seems like now is a poor time to be investing in index funds. Is it better to be investing in solid companies with proven earnings that won't take a tumble if they miss earnings in a downturn? It seems like now is a poor time to be investing in index funds. Is it better to invest in solid companies with proven earnings that won't take a tumble if they miss earnings in a downturn? Given all the stuff going on right now, Brian, should we switch our investment strategy to strictly and exclusively and solely individual companies, individual stocks?
I can see how there's a lot of temptation, especially if you go and you look at some of these tech stocks and the way they've been on just a roll, exponential growth in a very short period of time. I mean, man, it looks like it's chasing the white dot is what I call it. The white hot dot.
The white hot dot.
The white hot dot, because, you see it. And by the way, this isn't a new thing. I used to do episodes since we've been doing this since 2006. We used to, when publications were more important, Kiplinger's used to, a big personal finance magazine used to have an annual report of the best performing mutual funds. And I used to say, no, be careful of going and buying that issue and then buying the first stock or mutual fund, whatever was listed on their list. Because, man, about the time you buy it, it's about the time it's probably not going to do anything. I always think about, what can you control? We just did an entire show on a lot of world events and other things, and it just chaos everywhere. And you have to focus on what can you control and what behaviors, and then how valuable is your time? Because, I mean, this is a resource, your time, the calories you can burn, the horsepower of your brain that can be spent on the wealth building process. If you buy the company, because, I see all the time people post, if you put $1,000 in Amazon, you'd be worth $75 million. I made that up, because this is the type of crazy stuff people put out there. And I think that is more of a distraction than a resource, because it's just, the reality is that people get excited about stocks, and maybe you're right, especially companies like Apple and so forth that have done well for going on over a decade now. But maybe you're wrong. I mean, like, is this whole thing with what used to be Facebook and is now Meta, is this going to be just a short duration thing? Or is this going to be where, because by the way, back in the 90s when I first started managing money, the company you want to own was Coca-Cola. Because Coca-Cola, man, how could they do any wrong? I mean, that was a household brand. They had the great Christmas commercials every year. Everybody, I mean, when you come to look at Abound Wealth, we have a fridge full of flavored waters. Back in the 90s, it wasn't flavored waters. It was all the different soft drinks that you were drinking 4 or 5 of them a day because you were so excited. But then if you invested in Coca-Cola at the time, people were surprised that Coca-Cola went through a decade where all of a sudden they didn't make money. I mean, it just, the stock price was sitting at the exact same place it was. Now, yes, they had dividends and other things, but it was like, how could this awesome stock that it's done great for all these years, GE, General Electric, now you guys are like, that's an old school guy. I'm telling you guys, early in the 90s and early 2000s, you'd be like, GE is the greatest investment. I don't even have to go buy a mutual fund, just go buy General Electric. What I'm telling you, and those are the companies that are still around. What if I threw out the whole Lucent Technologies, WorldComs, Enrons?
Was it grocerystore.com?
I mean, the web grocer or whatever. But all these companies that just seem like, man, these things are awesome and spectacular, and then they burn out and then they fizzle out, and you're like, you don't even remember these companies anymore. And that's why I don't like to see people in the wealth building process get so distracted. This is going to be, we're going to get troll comments. Does this guy just wander in the woods? Yes, it's a Q&A show, so I wander in the woods as I'm trying to teach these concepts. I remember when I first started managing money, I was so excited about these separate account managers that would go out there and buy your clients like a full basket of all these individual stocks. And I was so, my parents don't have money that, you know, but my dad had an IRA with $105,000 in it. And the minimum to get into this separate account manager was $100,000. So, you know, sure enough, without knowing what the heck I was getting into, through my dad's, you know, IRA account into this. And I'll never forget him calling me all the time, be like, Hey, what's up with this? I keep getting all this paperwork in the mail, and then what's this company? I got 5 shares of this, and I found that he was getting distracted with what the behavior or what the stock performance of that one stock was, instead of focusing on the behavior of saving more money for the future. And you know, you're basically setting a table at Thanksgiving for this stock that you've now turned into kind of an idol in your portfolio life. I'm telling you, focus on the behavior of saving more. Index funds protect you from all of that stuff. All you have to count on is that I know automation, technology, and other things are going to create this great, big, beautiful tomorrow where the economy is going to continue to expand and grow the pizza pie of our economy. Why try to outsmart it when we know index funds, if you especially go 10, 15 years in the future, they outperform like 80 to 85% of the other active managers. If they're outperforming active managers that are paid 7 figures to try to outperform, what makes you think, you without the CFA, you without any training whatsoever, you're going to go pick the perfect stocks that are going to navigate this well? I'm saying just go buy the index fund. Because even if you're like you want to write love letters to Elon Musk because you love Tesla, if you buy the S&P 500, you own a big chunk of Tesla.
Yep.
And that's why I'm saying don't waste your energy. Don't waste the calories. Don't waste the horsepower. Go buy the index fund and then focus on how you're going to go make more money, better yourself to get yourself to the best version of yourself financially. I don't, that was 6 minutes of a bunch of rambling. Maybe you could have concisely done that, but I felt like it was needed.
No, I thought it was wonderful. We love diversification because we love probabilities. We like putting ourselves on the right side of majority or high probability outcomes. We have a horrible sense of survivorship bias when it comes to investing because we remember the Amazons and we remember the Googles and we remember the Teslas, but we forget all of the other ones that you mentioned. And we have no way of knowing 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years now, which one of those companies are going to be the ones that outperformed and which ones weren't. But if we buy a well-diversified basket of goods, we're setting ourselves up on the high probability of success that the markets in general are going to go up. And we think that's a prudent way to approach.
I did want to say one more thing.
Go ahead. Because
you had said poor time right now. There's a lot of value to that word, poor time right now. I have a challenge to that. I want, Michael to go back and look at 10 years ago, just the S&P 500 and what it was trading at and so forth, is that it's always going to look like a poor time in some aspects. 2 out of every 10 years, the market's going down.
Sure.
But if you fast forward 10 years, it's going to look like a great time. I mean, I'm telling you, don't let the pothole of what's going on in the geopolitical or the world right now derail you from creating great financial decisions in the long term.